Welcome to another episode of SD's podcast where Dom and Kyron talk about stuff featuring
Deanna,
Santina,
and Catherine.
Thanks for joining.
So today what we wanted to talk about was getting a different perspective on the gym, because obviously Dom and I have like the guy's perspective on the fitness industry, but it's really important to kind of see what everyone else involved in the fitness world views of it. And so we have a few of our friends and clients here to give their input on what they've experienced throughout time. So what we're going to do real quick is just go through and everyone can give an idea for who they are, their fitness journey, who they're training with, whether it's myself, Dom, or anyone else, and what their current fitness goals are. We'll start with Deanna.
Sure. So again, my name's Deanna. My fitness journey, I don't think it's been brief. It's probably been my whole life. I grew up a very heavy individual most of my life, and recently in the last 5 years have really gotten into like fitness and nutrition and trying to kind of, make progress on my goals there. I train with Connor. I've been training with Connor for a while now, and currently we're working on a lot of like strength conditioning, flexibility. I do have issues with like chronic pain from injuries or probably from being obese most of my life. So Connor really helps me with kind of managing pain as well through fitness. So that's really what got me into personal training.
She does great with it.
Yeah.
Okay, my name is Santina. Basically, for my fitness journey, it was more of like becoming strong. Most of my life, I've just been like the small person. I'm 5'1", I don't weigh much, so I just wanted to be able to like hold my own in a sense and like feel strong physically and mentally, knowing I can lift like double my weight or triple my weight, whatever it is. I actually train with Dominic. We're actually family friends. I've known him since I was 8. So it's been like a comfortable journey, and I wouldn't change it. I would like to work out a little bit more just to get stronger and a little thicker, but that's really it.
A little thicker.
Thick
with 2 C's.
You know what I'm
We
talking
like
about.
it.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
That's awesome.
So I'm Catherine, and my fitness journey, I grew up playing sports and came from a super athletic family. I played basketball and field hockey, but I actually didn't even touch a weight until college. I didn't know what I was doing. I had to kind of rely on my brother, who was very athletic, to kind of teach me things. And I actually train with Dom as well. And some of my fitness goals, I compete in pageantry, so we're working on posture, which we need to fix now. And we're also hopefully going to lose weight, but get stronger physically and mentally.
Awesome. So everyone's crushing their goals right now, and it's really great to see. One of the big things that we're going to go into is largely fitness culture and the industry of itself. It can be a blessing and a curse once you kind of see it for what it is. But we're going to get the perspective of everyone on just a few different things, starting with the feelings you might have had the first time you joined a gym or stepped into like any sort of fitness setting. Anyone can go.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I mean, for first joining a gym, I was so unsure of what to do. Like the most I knew how to do were the machines. So for the majority of the time, I would just like start on the treadmill, basically just like watching everybody to see what they were doing.
Yep.
Because I literally had no idea what to do.
So, what type of gym did you go to? Did you go to like a smaller gym like here? Did you go to like a bigger, typical like Planet Fitness commercial gym?
My first gym ever was Mike's Gym in Medford. It was a good gym.
Good place.
It was a good place to start the journey because people were actually working out there, so there were people to watch. And I'm such a quiet person, so I would never ask for help. But yeah, I would just watch people to see what they were doing. Then you learn the machines. The machines had the instructions. But I definitely was doing things wrong, and I like injured myself, kind of with my knee. But I don't know. It wasn't bad, but it was really intimidating. No part of me wanted to like lift up a weight at all.
And it could be tough too because like that's an awesome way to like try to figure out as to like how to figure out like even if you don't have necessarily a routine set in stone, but just to like get yourself started, watching other people is a great way to do it. Like it may come off as like creepy and things like that, but like again, you're more so doing it because you're trying to you're trying to establish something like that you don't necessarily have an outline for. So when you go to watch people, it can be tough because there can definitely be things that are beneficial from watching people. But again, like you said, just because you may be watching someone, it doesn't necessarily always guarantee that what they're doing is correct or right.
Yeah.
And that's something we actually covered in another episode too, about like when it's your first time in the gym and you're not really sure what to do, like one of the best things you can do is just look around and then see what other people are up to.
Or even go on like YouTube or TikTok
Right.
or
Yeah.
whatever.
Just kind of find your own way
Sure.
through it.
Exactly.
But then, like, when you're at the gym, who do you choose to look at to, like, do exercises? Like, oh, this girl looks really great and she is fit and all this kind of stuff. I want to look like her, so let me see what she's doing for a workout. Or are you looking at the guy that's, like, lifting super heavy thinking, oh, yeah, you know, I want to be able to lift like that? Like, how do you
Choose?
choose?
Decipher it? I think it's going to be more in relation as to what your goal, your primary goal is. So the reason I say that is because, let's put it this way, like I know you said earlier that like you're trying to kind of get the combination of wanting to like gain strength but also burn fat.
Right.
So, which is awesome. So it basically comes down to one of two things. Either, okay, you can kind of talk to both people and see what they're doing and then make your own routine based off of some of the information that they may have given you. Whether it be like certain tips for strength training or conditioning, whatever the case may be. And then, or if you have a specific goal that you want to target first, again, I definitely think that by talking to people, it helps, just because the more people that you talk to, you need to have a reason why you're doing stuff. If you don't have a reason why as to why you're doing stuff, why you're doing it, like flat out. So
Granted, there can be a lot of anxiety behind going up to some person and
It definitely-
being like,
oh,
"Hey, what's
yeah.
your workout right now?"
yeah, no, absolutely. It's
Definitely.
super intimidating. So
Especially when you join your first gym. So I like fell into going to the gym because my first job in high school was actually working at the daycare of a gym.
Okay.
And
Okay.
because I
Okay.
worked at the gym, I worked at the daycare, and then when I got like promoted, I worked at the front desk. And then you could work out after shift. And so like when the gym would close, I would work out. And then for me, it was easier that way because my biggest thing with not going to the gym up until that point was like I didn't want to be viewed by a bunch of people while I'm
No,
trying to
absolutely.
Yeah.
learn how to do fitness. So it actually helped me that like no one was around, so I could kind of figure it out for myself. But then also too, because I worked at a gym, I had resources to like, you know, the trainers would be walking around and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, what are you doing there?
Yeah,
And like,
Every
no,
now and then
that's
you
awesome.
catch something out of your
But
eye.
Yeah.
and just-
obviously, like, that's the most important thing, right, though? Like, you want to make sure that you're talking to someone that's actually qualified and has the knowledge, like you two do, and giving you the right tips for you personally, because everyone has different goals, everyone's body's different. So you have to make sure that you're getting what you need in your workouts.
yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
kind of like what you said in terms of like trying to find people that are credible. It's like we like coaches are kind of like doctors in a sense, or any type of profession. Just because you are a certain type of profession doesn't necessarily mean that you're either one, good at it, or two, overall that knowledgeable. Some people still may be rookies and still have a lot to learn. So it really depends to kind of like the standpoint as to how much background experience that person has. So like even for like someone like myself, like, so I went to school for what I did. Connor didn't go to school for what he, for the certifications that he has, but I know just by talking to Connor about like anatomy and phys and proper movement and kinesiology and things like that, like I know that Connor is extremely knowledgeable and knows his stuff just because of the knowledge that he's been able to teach himself, like by himself.
Well,
So
and all the hands-on training, too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The
So-
experience plays a big part in it.
it definitely does. So it's awesome to see like when you're committed to something, you don't necessarily have to be the best at it or whatever the case may be, but as long as you're willing to like commit yourself to the learning process, it goes to show as to like who's really well-rounded with the information and who's like kind of like the Google doctor of like just going on Google and like looking up stuff.
And it's always one of those things where like the more you're going to the gym, the more you're going to be around similar people that might be going at the same time, and you don't even have to be like directly watching or following someone's workout. You're just going to kind of see things that like in your peripheral vision, and you're going to learn new exercises just by the corner eye. Someone's doing some crazy exercise, you're like, oh wow. And then other times you might see someone's progress over time, be like, they must be doing something right. Or like the trainers, you know, you'll watch their clients, you'll watch them the time they're working out. The trainers are watched more than anyone else in the gym. But
And I feel like the first step really in that whole process is I think doing the research on what gym to
Right.
go to. Like, so it's not even just like the
Yeah.
first time I signed up for the gym, it was like the research was like which gym, because there are different types of gyms and
Right.
like trying to figure out which one was like a fit for what I wanted.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
so I guess this could kind of be a question for like all three of you. So first question, like, have you guys gone to at least more than one gym in your life?
Yeah,
Okay.
several.
Okay. No. Awesome. So now with the knowledge of certain gyms, like obviously you have like bigger commercial ones, but then you have like smaller, kind of like they call them like box gyms, like us.
You
They
have,
or
like boutique studios.
yeah,
like,
or
who I used to work for.
yeah, exactly. Or there's like boutique studios. I know, like in some places, like certain living situations have gyms provided for like apartment complexes and stuff like that too. So, based on the type of gym setting, is there a setting that you would say that you're comfortable in one that you can typically thrive in more? So it can kind of be a little bit tougher just because you may, in a bigger gym, you may not necessarily be comfortable, but you may thrive because of the amount of equipment and things accessible to you. However, sometimes if you're more confident in that type of setting, you're just going to be able to thrive because you feel good about yourself. So would you say that like there was kind of like a gym that fit yourselves the best?
Yeah, yes and no. I feel like the way that I've progressed in terms of like finding gyms is almost kind of like dating. Like I left certain
Yeah.
places and I'm like, I like qualities of that gym and I want to find
Yeah.
qualities
Yeah.
of that gym somewhere else, but something that's missing. So I think even now, so like right now personally, like I come here for the one-on-one training and specialized stuff and when I need to be more focused on certain things. But then if I'm running and I need to do like a 45-minute get it in, I go to like the commercial or I might go to a class somewhere. So I think over the years I've again like the dating analogy is that I found things that I like about certain places and I use those certain places for those reasons.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
sense.
It's like it's nice to like have that change of scenery and variety and like open your options too.
Good
which is awesome.
utilization of resources.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's huge. How about you? I would say, how about you?
I don't know. Like I found that I do like smaller gyms just because I went to Planet Fitness before and it was just too much. And I feel like, except in the morning, like no matter what time you go, there's always somebody somewhere that you want to be. So I really did like.
It's so true.
Yeah.
You're like, I want to use that machine. I'll go do 10 different things, and then
Yeah,
still,
and you just stare
I
at
say
it.
he, 'cause
Yeah.
it's usually he is still on that machine.
Exactly. So you sit there watching them, not really doing what you're supposed to do. So like I do love a gym like this because like you can just focus on what you need to focus on, and I know that I won't hurt myself.
Yeah,
Because sometimes when I'm like really into a workout, I'm not actually doing it correctly.
right.
But I feel like I probably thrive best in a smaller gym, even if I don't have like the most of the equipment. I know I can make do with either my body weight or like kind of makeshift. Because with working out with Dominic, he doesn't do like just simple exercises. He always switches it up, which is really nice because I kind of get bored of the same old routine,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm always like sore in other places. So it's kind of just nice to like have a smaller, more personal gym. But I'm also like a very quiet person.
I think,
So like I can do
Yeah.
without conversation and being looked at and all that. So,
yeah, no, absolutely, and like it's nice too because even like with like you've been in here when there's other people training in here, even if there's like Connor and Deanna or whoever the case may be, even though there's only four of us, it's still a small enough convenient space that like we can all use the gym comfortably and not be in each other's way. You still
Yeah.
kind of feel as though you almost have like a full gym to yourself to utilize, which is pretty nice.
Yeah.
It's also that like comfortable feeling though too is like if I'm doing an exercise incorrectly, it's one little movement that I need to change and then it changes the entire exercise.
Yeah.
So you don't get that when you're by yourself at a big box gym.
Yeah.
For me, like coming from the fitness world, I used to work at multiple boutique fitness studios across the country, and now going to those big box gyms, I like get so anxious because
Yeah.
a lot of the people there are doing so many exercises wrong, and I'm like, oh my god, okay, when are they gonna get hurt, and like what am I gonna do if they get hurt? I'm like walking on the treadmill and I'm like, okay, all right, so let me make sure that everyone's okay, and it's like that's not my
Yeah.
job.
Yeah,
You're
no.
not focused on yourself and your workout. You're worried about everyone else in there, and I'm like, oh, I can't do this.
No,
It's
That's
just-
why I love
exactly.
No, it's
coming here too.
not no like bigger gyms. Like it's again like there's a lot. Like even though like so Connor and I used to work at a bigger commercial gym. And we used to, again, we kind of met through doing one-on-one training. Even though it's one-on-one, it may be me and you, but it's
there's
me,
still
you,
50
it is,
people.
I was about to say, it's
Right.
me, you, and everyone else in the
Yeah.
facility. So it's not like we really had an exclusive space to like
Yeah.
take our clients. Like they
It's true,
did
I never thought of it
they
like that.
yeah, like they did like later on down the line they started like doing some rearranging, so it was a little bit more convenient, but there were still members that were able to go in there and use the space. So again, even though it was like one-on-one, it's you, your coach, and the other X amount of people. And especially too, like you
Right.
figure, right, like if you're coming in from like, I like to say anywhere from like 3 to 7 is usually the most packed time, because it's when people are getting out of work, people are getting out of school. If you go anywhere during that time, it's not going to be one-on-one. It's going to be you, your coach, and the flood rush of people during that
Yeah.
time frame.
Yeah.
And then everyone's gonna be like looking at you like, oh, I wonder why she's working out with a coach. Like, what is she doing wrong? Does she have goals and she can't hit them herself?
Yeah, especially if it's the
And then, like-
beginning of your journey, you just feel so uncomfortable
Yeah.
in general.
So this kind of actually helps to lead into kind of the next topic that we were going to discuss too, was so we kind of talked about things that like you liked about certain gyms,
Mhm.
whether it's size and quality. We talked about things that we dislike, whether it's like large crowds, feeling overstimulated, overwhelmed, not being sure what to do or looked at. How about in regards for gyms, like toxic elements that might be a part of gyms, whether it's like the gym atmosphere or the perception as to how people should be?
Or the
And-
fitness like industry and culture by itself.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then
no.
like
It's gonna be a good
it can
one.
kind of stem. So with those
Let
toxic
me pull
elements.
out my notebook.
Yeah. So a lot of times with toxic elements, if those things tend to keep repeating or keep repeating rather, they will tend to like manifest into fears and possibly cause kind of like kind of like deadlocks in your journey, because those elements are now chronic issues that may be going forward. So for an example, like if let's say like you notice someone not just looking at you, but like checking you out at the gym, and it was the same person every single time you go, well, that toxic element of having someone look at you is now going to turn into a fear of like, oh my god, like what if I go to the gym and like so and so's there and like he's going to look at me. So
You're
it
like,
can
well,
def-
I already changed the time I go to the gym 3 times
Yeah.
now, so I'm
Yeah.
still gonna
You
come
should
to
have
this
to
gym.
do
Yeah,
that.
Yeah, no. So there's a lot of different things that like they start off as small and subtle, but they can definitely evolve if not addressed kind of off the bat. So like,
I don't know, I think the first thing is like just how women are viewed in the fitness world and how we're all supposed to look a certain way. Like you bring in social media now and it's just absolutely insane. Like we're all supposed to be 6'1" and like less than 100 pounds and have abs and like have a nice butt, and it's like that's not achievable for everyone. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but that's how I feel like most women are groomed to look like right now. And it's like I feel like that's been such an image like in my head, like going through high school and in college, and like I was doing cardio all the time because that's how I thought you're supposed to lose weight. I'm just gonna run on the treadmill for an hour and then pretend like I know how to lift for like a half hour. Just because like I don't know, because like lifting in general isn't a thing that like they're like, oh yeah, you know, women can lift, they can do this, they can lift heavy things and still lose weight and be strong and be confident, and that's like not a thing. So for me, like that's how it definitely started with toxic elements of like, this is how I have to look, this is what I have to do at the gym to look like this, and like that wasn't even true. I didn't even have the education piece about that. I mean, I don't know how you guys feel.
Yeah. I know. I feel like the gym with me, I don't know. When I started my fitness journey, it was nothing like it is nowadays. Like this
Yeah.
was maybe about like 9-10 years ago. So it was just so different. It was more of just like me being in the gym was like just a step up. I don't know. Like I felt like not many girls were in the gym. So if you were in the gym, they're like, oh hey, like hi.
Yeah, like people like looked up to you like in school or something. And
Yeah.
thinking like, oh yeah, like she knows what she's doing and she goes
Yeah,
to the
but
gym.
I
and
didn't.
Like,
I was on the crew team for a little bit, so we would do like our little workouts. So I would kind of just copy that and then do a bunch of like the leg press and like little leg things I knew how to do. The calf
Yeah.
machine was so fun.
There you go.
But like
That's a
I
choice.
didn't know what to do, and I felt very uncomfortable going trying to like lift
Yeah.
weights and stuff because they don't tell you to do that, and you just
Right.
feel weak. Like no part of me was doing arm workouts.
right,
Like I didn't start doing arm workouts till I started working out with him like 2 years ago.
right.
I had no idea what to do.
and a lot of times it's because, kind of going back to what Catherine said, like girls may have the thought that they need to be skinny, thin waist, like bustful hips, like things like that. So a lot of times girls would dominantly just do legs and cardio and not necessarily take into regard the upper body, which even doesn't matter what your goal is, the body is an entire piece. You have to take care of it like an entire piece. It's like if you need an oil change and you need to fill your car with gas. Okay, well if you go fill your car with gas, it's not going to fix the fact that you still need an oil change. You've solved half the battle, so now you got to go do the whole piece. So a lot of times it can be tough because, like you said, like not many people and not many women want to lift heavy or want to lift weights. I think just from my personal work that a lot of women tend to believe that when you strength train or resistance train, regardless of weight, it's gonna give them like this bodybuilder type of
like feel,
like this jacked up body type of look.
Well, I haven't.
True.
I've even recently in like relationships when I've gotten really into the weight training and stuff like that, like have had like even guy friends or guys I was seeing or whatever, where I'm like proud of the progress I'm making, and I'm like, yo, feel my bicep, and they're literally like, no, that affects my masculinity. That your arm is bigger than mine. And I'm like,
Don't even start.
and so like that also plays into like the gym toxic environment too, is that there's an expectation that women are supposed to have over men. Like if I like, you know what I mean? There is a little bit of, I think, a perceived look. Like if I go over to the leg press machine that a guy just got off of and I'm adding weight, that guy's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
No,
Like,
they get offended.
But
They
which is
do.
like, in a weird way, like better for you.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Yeah, I feel great about it.
I would say now I want to feel your bicep. I'm like, damn. No, that's awesome. Like no, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Okay. I feel like before it was more about looking hot and not being strong. And now I want to be
Right.
strong, and if I happen to look hot,
Cool.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
they even made a song called "Hot Girl Summer," so it doesn't
Right.
really help the fact that again, like it's giving women this persona that like you just got to be like hot and sexy and wear tight clothes to the gym, and there's been like a really big like
Like they
down-
don't make women's sweatpants to go to
Yeah,
the gym
no,
that
like,
work.
it
Like
sucks,
it's
and-
leggings.
no,
That's it.
absolutely.
That's all you
I
get.
never even thought of that.
No,
till
it's-
just now.
it's-
I,
No,
would-
it's-
I
it's
would
really
love
true.
to. I would love to like
wear
rock up to a
joggers or
gym like
something, yeah.
Connor and Dom do. Like
Oh yeah, no,
they
like, I
don't
literally,
exist.
I feel like I never got out of bed, so it's
But
awesome.
then do you think, like, if you went to a big box gym, do you think that either women or men would look at you being like, "Oh, she's wearing that"? Like, because I feel like I would.
Yeah.
I don't know, like a mental thing for me. Like,
Yeah.
I would feel like they would be like, "Well, why isn't she wearing leggings? Or why isn't she
No,
wearing
yeah, I agree.
those short shorts?"
So let me ask you this: would you let that affect you to the point that you would change what you're wearing, or would you just still wear it and just kind of like, I don't want to say deal with the fact that you're uncomfortable, but at the same time, would you just kind of like let it bypass and just like not bother you?
Well, the first thing is that I'm glad I don't go to a big box gym anymore and I come here. But if I were to, I mean, I'm at a point now, like mentally, where that wouldn't affect me anymore, and I would just be like, "Yeah, what's up? I'm here, and I'm probably gonna lift heavier than all of you, just like Tina said."
Yeah.
So
No, that's awesome.
It's almost like the gym has been marketed more towards a performance than an actual place to just like better yourself in your own way and be comfortable
Right.
in the way that you do it.
Oh yeah.
Right.
You know?
And especially too, like I like the word, like I like the fact you said performance, because like people, like granted, like we're using a tripod to record the podcast, but like people literally set that up just to record them like squatting, benching, whatever the case is. I went to a gym down in Saugus, Mass, and it literally felt like I was in, part of it felt like a gym, but the other part of it felt like Planet Hollywood. Like there were
Yeah, I know.
there were camera lights, and people had like stands like the one that we have with ring lights.
It's like a
and
reality TV show. And
it
everyone
was
has their own
it's
episode.
crazy. Like
Yeah.
the amount of like recording that's going on, which like I totally understand that like people have like profiles and stuff like that, but like put the phone down. Damn.
Well, gyms are supposed to be, I feel like in general, gyms are supposed to be a place that you go to work on yourself for yourself. And when you go to any kind of gym, if you are focusing on other people or other people are a distraction, that adds to that toxic nature. So like I'm guilty of it too, where like I go and in my head I'm like, I'm here for myself and I'm not worried about anyone else. Of course I notice everybody else and I see everybody else and I think about everybody else, and then I in turn go, are they thinking about what I'm doing?
Right.
So then
Right.
that whole toxic cycle is
Yeah.
just like, then I go, I just want to work out in my basement alone. Like leave me, leave me
Yeah,
alone.
exactly.
Yeah, no, and I definitely feel as though like I feel like depending on the day, like some days, don't get me wrong, like I like when there's a lot of people in the gym and everyone's just kind of getting after and there's a vibe that kind of comes with that presence. But then there are also days that like I love just having the whole place by myself. I'll shut the lights off, I'll put on like the LEDs and just kind of just like be in my own zone and be in my own peace and comfort. So like I totally understand like wanting to kind of surround yourself and like be present in that atmosphere, but also like wanting to go for a run or wanting to kind of focus on something that it's not like you and a coach, it's just you and yourself. So like the only person to kind of push you at that point is yourself. So I think that's awesome to kind of have the luxury of both. And I
Feels
think,
like a different level of growth.
yeah, and like if you kind of relate it to training, I think it shows growth because I think of like personal trainers and strength coaches, like we're almost like training wheels. Like I feel like part of the job is to build you guys up, whether male or female, to the point that you can go into one of those bigger gyms or one of those settings that may not make you feel comfortable and go through it comfortably, knowing that you're confident in what you're doing. So like if I were to give you a sheet and be like, here's your program, like go to the gym and do it, like I want you to be able to feel as though like, okay, like I know where the warm-up equipment is, I know how a Smith machine works, I know how much certain thing weighs.
And
Like
that's probably like rewarding for you guys too, like being able to educate your clients and then saying, okay, go ahead, go
It's
out
great.
and
Yeah,
go,
no,
and
it's-
go do
it's-
your thing, and then
it's
they're
cool.
still getting their results even though they may not be able to physically be in here.
Yeah.
Like right now with my work schedule, sometimes I work out twice a week at my apartment gym, but it's with his programming.
Yeah.
And I know what to do because I did those workouts with him. So,
Exactly.
and then that person gets to educate others.
Yeah, we can never expect people to come in and like show up, pay for sessions every single day. It's
Yeah.
not realistic, you know? And so it's one of those things where we want to make sure that we're giving you the tools to continue doing everything you need to do and just come in for your weekly, bi-weekly session, whatever it is, work on some weak areas, learn some new things, and just kind of keep the ball rolling. But at the end of the day, like you're the person you're spending all your time with.
Right.
And this is another way to help you learn how to move forward, and not in just like fitness, but the rules and discipline you build in fitness is going to help you in other things too.
Absolutely.
And so if you're always relying on someone else to push you through that, you lose the ability to kind of do it on your own.
yeah, and to kind of like even go off of that, like you said, like they build the discipline with discipline too. Like we always vouch for is consistency, like in
Right.
the sense that if you're not motivated but you're consistent, like there's a higher chance that you're going to do it. So I think it's awesome because it does show that even when you decide to go for runs by yourself or you decide to work out at your home gym, you don't necessarily need our guidance there, which is awesome because you guys feel comfortable enough to be able to carry that out on your own and to show that you're still dedicated and disciplined to that, to making fitness a consistent thing for yourself. That's awesome. Consistency is the hardest part of the puzzle. So the fact that you kind of went from like holding your hands like across the street to being like, okay, now we don't have to hold hands, to the like, okay, you can cross the street by yourself. It's a process, but it's awesome to like see it blossom. And I think with that, it's just a matter of just having to be patient. Like people want quick overnight fixes, and that's just not the reality. And I feel like with today's world, kind of going a little off topics, people just want things and they want them now. Like they don't want to have to wait, they don't want to
All
have to
those
work.
stupid cleanses that you see that
Oh,
pop up on
yeah,
your
like,
feed as a
dangerous.
sponsored ad. I'm like, no, go
Exactly,
away,
like-
report.
Like I have, so one thing that a lot of my women clients come to talk to me about is like nutritional stuff, because obviously with like women's nutrition and men's nutrition, it is very similar for the most part, but there are some circumstances that it does have to vary, whether it be like depending on your body style, if you're pregnant, if you get like if you have menstrual issues, whatever the case may be, the diet is going to have to fluctuate to some degree. So I have women sometimes that will come in and tell me like, oh, like carbs are bad for me, or like, oh, like I don't eat I don't eat protein because I don't want to get bulky. Like, and it's kind of sad just because there's something that they must have seen that like
Yeah, it's
that
like, where
leads
did they get that?
that
info?
leads them to believe that. Yeah. So, and like I'll ask them like, oh, like in your past, like how would you diet? Like how did you, like if you were to try to lose weight in the past, like what would you do? Oh, I just wouldn't eat as much. Well,
Yeah, or like
why?
not eat at all. Or
Yeah,
like one
exactly.
meal a day because you know you're gonna go to
Yeah.
practice or whatever,
Yeah.
and then that's it.
yeah. So like I used to have a client and she told me like she was like I would only eat 1,000 calories a day. I'm like that's it.
Yeah.
And so they're like, oh,
It
they're like
probably would work out so much so that she was burning 1,500 to 2,000 calories.
exactly. So
Yeah,
it got to the
macronutrients.
point. It got to the point that she felt as though because she was on this 1,000-calorie diet that she felt like she was going like this, but because of the frequency that she was working out in and not taking proper time to recovery, it definitely was going down. But
Yeah.
because of the mindset of like I can only eat this much because I want to look like this, it can become unhealthy.
So how do we like as women, like how do we change that? Like how do we change the way that we're supposed to look, or what if we could, or if we want to, like how would we change the fitness industry right now?
Right. And it's tough too because I think a lot of it is about, what social media feeds you, about even just like upbringings and culture. There's so much that goes into it that I think in general, what I've seen, and not to be like too psychology about it, but what I've seen a lot, even with like family members of mine or whatever, is even just the perspective of fitness or the gym. Fitness and working out at the gym for men, it feels like a reward. You get something at the end by having muscles, by being fit, by being able to run.
Yeah.
For women, it's a punishment. You're getting too fat. You're
Yeah.
not whatever.
That
You
is-
need to.
That's a really
So
that's a
for me,
really good
I had to stop
point of view, yeah.
punishing my current periods of life of like gaining weight or whatever by I would punish myself by then have to go to the gym. So I would used to join the gym, try to lose weight, would not succeed, and then feel like I failed, and then
Yeah.
leave the gym, and then
It's a
come
whole
back.
vicious
And
cycle.
Yeah.
for me, it was not until I had that perspective change that like the gym is a reward for females just as much as it is for males, and not punishing myself by saying, well, because that's what my family does too. Like all the women in my family, they go work out when I started gaining 20 pounds. Now I got to join a gym.
Yeah.
Or
It's
it's
kinda more-
holiday time. and-
It's more like fad kind of like, it's like fad training almost, in the sense of like I gained 20 pounds, I gotta go work out, or holidays are coming around, like I get in shape for holidays. So
Or not even that. Or, oh my gosh, I ate so much on Thanksgiving. Like, I need to not eat today and then just work out and make sure that I burn X amount of calories so that I can burn off the Thanksgiving meal that I had.
yeah, and it's
Yeah.
tough because it sucks because I just want like from a very broad perspective, where the hell did we go wrong? Like
Yeah.
what?
happened?
Yeah, like what
I think
happened
it's
to
like-
like get
Social
us?
media did a big number on
Yeah.
I
that.
definitely
But sometimes-
think that too. Yeah.
I think it's a generational thing too.
Mhm.
Like, as younger girls, like us three, like, we may or may not have had that woman that we looked up to, and like, what did they say about themselves when they looked in the mirror? And
Exactly.
we're little girls watching them talk about themselves, like, oh, I'm so fat. Oh, I need to lose weight. Oh, I'm so fat. I can't fit into my pants anymore. I can't go to the beach. I can't go swimming because I can't wear this bathing suit, and I don't feel confident in this. And like, just constant like negativity of people that you may have looked up to as role models, whether that's your mom, older sister, whatever.
No,
I
it's
feel like that really, for me, kind of put that negative, like, body positivity in my brain.
Yeah, that, and then like your association with food. Like if you don't have a good
Yeah.
association, like even though I'm small, I still like me and food don't get along for some reason. Like
Yeah.
everybody has their own personal issues, so when you do that plus body image, like you can make yourself feel terrible.
Yeah.
If I lose a few pounds, like I beat myself up for it. But like there are, included because I'm a woman, like there
Yeah.
are weeks where my period makes me not want to eat more, or like I eat
Right.
more than I usually do. Like it just really varies, and
All the
it's all
chocolate.
mental.
No,
So you have to, like,
And I think
work
it's
with
about how
yourself,
gyms
be
are
patient.
promoted. Gyms are promoted
Right.
with that idea in mind. Gyms are targeted to men to bulk up, gain muscle, be a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
Gyms are promoted to women, lose weight, get into that bikini, like
Tone
Yeah.
up.
Where it's
yeah.
Here's a bikini, put it on, go to the beach. Like,
Yeah.
enough.
Be
Yeah.
confident.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
and even to kind of like, so with your food situation, because yours is a little bit different to everyone else. So when COVID first started, Santina ended up getting COVID, and fast forward with like smell and taste and stuff like that. To this day, she still has some smell and
insane.
taste sensitivity issues. So
Yeah,
it can be
love
really,
those.
it can be really tough. So the only reason that I bring it up, like not to throw you under the bus by any means,
That's
it's
fine.
more in the sense of like, if you can't smell or taste food, even if you're,
Why would
even
you
if you're
wanna
not,
eat?
Enjoy it.
exactly, not even if you're not like a foodie or like things like that, like it's not gonna, eating's at that point just looks like a chore because you're like, okay, like it's all gonna taste the same regardless of what it is. You could have a chocolate bar and you could have
Yeah.
a slice of pizza, and it may they're two different things. They're supposed to taste different, but if they taste exactly the same or are just tasteless,
Right.
like you said, like why are you going to
But-
want to entertain yourself?
That's also like a very like unique issue.
No, it definitely
Absolutely.
is.
Crazy.
It kind of goes hand in hand with like sometimes like people like are almost like, I don't want to say bored by food, but they just don't think about refueling
Or
themselves.
is it the effort of like them not wanting to learn how to cook new meals, or
Could be a combination.
I'd say it's
finding the right
dependent.
products at a grocery store? That's a whole other
Right.
podcast in itself.
Right.
It's
Kind of
definitely
What were you gonna say, Connor?
it's just something to acknowledge because like she can't be the only one, and
Right.
you know that's definitely something I think we're gonna find next coming years because I mean
Yeah.
we still don't know what the long term effects of COVID are.
Yeah.
You
It's
know,
been 2 years today, actually. So
Yeah,
That's
and then
crazy.
and then even on top of that too, to kind of like go into it. So like in terms of food, like if you have specialty diets, so Catherine's a vegan.
Yep.
So in terms of for
and
those,
I've certainly opened up your eyes to the vegan world.
let's
you
go.
definitely it's not as awful as what everyone perceives it to be. Everyone thinks that you pretty much just eat grass and dirt, which
It's not true.
it's
oh,
not.
You can have the salad.
Yeah,
the
no. So
salad.
there are definitely things that like I tried tofu. No. So besides that
It
though.
was one little piece though.
It was one little
all you
piece
need.
too many. So, but like having other things though, like that she's introduced me to, like vegan cheese. It's the weirdest thing because mentally, it looks like cheese, it smells like cheese, it even tastes. Sometimes it even tastes better than cheese depending on the brand. But
Wait, hold on. Let me pause right there.
what?
You're also Italian, and you said that sometimes vegan cheese can taste better than cheese. So I just wanted to highlight.
So,
that.
Not mozzarella. Fresh mozzarella is totally on a
That's
level.
a
However,
Let's keep in mind
Um,
texture.
yeah, exactly.
You know?
So, in terms of the cheese, it's in like same thing. Even with texture, like shredded. So sometimes she'll get like shredded cheese, and it literally looks, tastes, smells exactly the same. But the fact that you're not eating cheese and you're eating like something that's
Soy.
plant based, either
Yeah.
soy or cashew milk or whatever it is, I think it's more of like a cognitive thing, just to like kind of get over the thought of like, okay, like it looks like cheese, smells like cheese, tastes like cheese, but it's not actually
So-
cheese.
But you can tell yourself that it is.
Right.
But it's you can, but I think just like knowing like what it should be and knowing that this is like a mockery is like
so
it's
in,
blasphemy.
yeah, a little
in
bit.
the reverse of that, because with me, like my psychology with food has always been really crazy. But I chose to go vegan 3 years ago. But anyways, when they make like the vegan burgers, like I had one at your house, it looks like a real burger.
It does.
Smells like
Yeah,
it.
so
It
I
even
get that.
bleeds sometimes like one, and if it does, I think it's the real thing and I can't eat it.
And I've had
just
like
valid.
I've gone both ways with it, where like you know I eat meat, but I've also had like vegan plant based meats and things like that too.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, but I'm able to completely disassociate it and like eat it no
Really?
matter what, and like I'm totally fine with that. The one thing that like I've always been a texture person, textures kind of
Yeah.
get me,
Mhm.
but when it comes to like substituted food, like I'm totally fine with it, and I can taste the different flavors, and I still enjoy
Right.
it. The only textures that I just can't do,
Uh-huh.
except in very specific circumstances, is seafood.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
You know, but like
I
beyond
can't
that,
either.
like I could have skim milk, almond milk, and whole milk, and be like, yeah, they're milk.
Yeah,
no,
no,
I
I
feel
feel
I,
that.
now, like, I wish I could do that because I feel like if I could, I feel like I'd be more open to trying different things.
No,
Like,
yeah.
don't get me wrong, like we went to a restaurant and it was strictly all vegan stuff. So like a lot of it is
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
be like vegetables and stuff like that, which is fine. But again, you have to also consider that, like, with a vegan, for those that don't know the biggest difference between a vegan and a vegetarian can still consume animal products. So like they can have, they just
Cheese,
eat,
eggs,
yeah, like
milk.
cheese, eggs, milk. But vegan does not take anything that is made or derived from an animal. Don't eat the homies. So
Also, like, for me, it's like it's a lifestyle. I also don't wear products or use makeup products that are tested on animals or come from any sort of animal byproduct. So it's a whole lifestyle. But we could go on a rant for that.
Yeah, no, but it's-
That'll be a different podcast.
Yeah.
No, it's cool though, because it goes to show that, like, again, kind of how this all ties in. Obviously, with the gym comes nutrition, and everyone's gonna have different bouts of it. Like, coming from being limited in resources to being not as enthused because everything kind of tastes the same. Like, it can affect everyone in so many different ways. And a lot of things that I feel like people also undermine is that food has a chemical reaction in your body that's going to start to change your thought process and how you perceive things. So like, food is fuel, they say it for a reason. So depending as to what you're fueling yourself with is going to change a lot of different things. Like, if you're eating really healthy and like you're on a roll and you're doing good with goals and things like that, it's going to make you feel like, as they say, kind of feel yourself in the sense of like, I feel good, like I feel confident, I feel strong. But then let's say like you have a bad day, whatever the case is, and like you have like one piece of chocolate or something like that, I'm overweight, I'm bloated, oh my god, I can't believe I did that. It's almost like you kind of get like that guilt factor.
Now, in a sense, too, like, your body gets used to what you do to it. If you eat a lot of bad food, your body will get used to that. It's still going to have, like, the negative reactions to it, but you might become even more repulsed by asparagus. But on the other end of the spectrum, I know...
I like how
Deanna-
you chose that vegetable. Sorry.
I don't know, it's the
Yeah,
first
I
one
got
came
it.
to my
Yeah.
head. I don't mind asparagus.
Yeah.
But I know you had mentioned something recently about, like, you eat really well, but you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, I want to know about that.
Well, so I that's new in the last few years for me, because going back to even just like, again, cultural ingrained, I'm Italian, and so I grew, part of my obesity growing up all these years was
Right.
the excessive amounts of food and the excessive amounts
Yeah.
of everything, and the fear of not having
So-
food, and so like even that had to be a change for me, and I honestly changed, I think, completely in the opposite direction, and went like super healthy and was like clean eating and doing all that
Yeah.
stuff. Now I have a slice of pizza and I am down for 2 days. I have had gastro,
That's so
like it's
crazy.
just like now I'm like allergic to bad food, and like it's almost as sad because I then can't enjoy. Like I went out to like a bowling event, and like like 3 of us shared a plate of nachos, and I'm saying like a small serving nachos. I had like the flu the next day. I was like down. I was out. I was like, this is what I've done to myself.
yeah, your
But-
body almost like starts to like reject it.
which
Correct.
is why, like, I still kind of advocate it's, even if it's part of like your program or your goals or whatever, but it's still okay to have that cheat day because you want your body to be able to be versatile,
Right.
like even in like gastric system.
Right. Well, and what I've done a lot with like Connor over the years is like I think a big change in just like how to change everything in the industry in general is that like we all have to realize that like these fads don't work. Like the same workout for
Right.
you doesn't work for
No,
me. The
exactly.
same diet for you doesn't work for me. And I have to figure out and talk to people to figure out what works for me. And once I've put that puzzle piece together, things started to fall into place. Like I started to figure out the nutrition, and that helped, and it fell into place. Like the fitness stuff we started figuring out, and it fell into place. And I had to stop just trying to copy and paste things that didn't work for me, because then I would just set myself up for failure. I did the like no carb, I did the like all of it, all of the things that you could name as fads in terms of fitness
Yeah.
or nutrition. I've tried them all.
But they're exactly like you just said. They're fads.
Correct.
Which they're only
And they
gonna
don't work
last
for me.
Well, they're only gonna last for a certain amount of time too.
Right.
You could lose 10 pounds in a month, but guess what? You're gonna gain back 20 because you just made your body suffer from not having carbs or
Keto
sugar.
diet.
So yeah, so I guess like I kind of like a follow up question I had. So like, I was in a similar sense of like I didn't necessarily try the fad diets, but I did try a lot of fad workouts, and the reason that I did not necessarily because I thought they'd work per se, but because when I have certain people that come in here, I always want to know like what it is that they're doing. Like if someone's doing like P90X, if someone's doing like boot camp, if someone's doing Pilates, like I like to have kind of an idea as to what these things entail, so I can relate. So I guess with you, in regards for kind of like running through the food chain, which honestly good for you, because it takes that in itself, even though you didn't necessarily have the first results off the bat, you stayed disciplined enough to keep
Yeah,
trying,
Found
which
your
is
way.
awesome.
We're proud of
So
you.
I guess so I guess the question I have is like what stemmed your, not so much your motivation to like figure it out, but like what stemmed your consistency after trial and error, trial and error, trial and error?
I think I got to a point where, especially like with my family, I saw the bad patterns, and even now the bad patterns just continue. And it doesn't work for them, and it's toxic and it's unhealthy. And like even to this day, I have an aunt who is like so like body conscious, but like then doesn't do stuff to like fix it long term. And
Right.
just like the unhealthiness, I had to like step back and look at it and go like, I don't want that for my life. And what do I want is to be healthy, happy, and how do I get that?
Yeah,
And
no,
I
that's
had to,
awesome.
like,
No, I think that's
So you
fantastic.
almost like had your family to use as like a learning aspect for
yeah, I'm like,
how
oh, I
you
don't want to
wanna-
do that.
How you want to live your
Yeah.
life, which is definitely understandable.
Right.
Kind of learning what you don't want, and like using trial and error to kind of figure out from there.
So I was gonna say, so I guess like kind of going to YouTube, like would you say that there's something that, whether it's like, but like I've had clients tell me that like, oh, like they know how to work out when they book a session with a trainer. It's almost like booking a doctor's appointment. Like you're not gonna like want to miss an appointment, so it helps with staying consistent. Do you guys have like things that you do, whether it's like through like a coach or things you do on your own that kind of helps like with your consistency towards like your fitness journey?
Yeah, I mean, at first for me, it was more of accountability, so I needed to hold myself accountable. So having a trainer and not being able to kind of cancel it, it was just a way that I had to go, and I had to make sure that I made time for myself to
Right.
do it at least once a week.
So
That's
you're
awesome.
holding yourself accountable, but you're also
Exactly.
making sure you show up because he's showing up for you. So You better show
Exactly.
up for yourself.
So it's like I don't want to let him down. Because honestly, at first it was like it's not that I didn't care about me, but I didn't have like
Yeah.
that willpower to care enough.
Yeah.
So at least I felt comfortable enough to do that. And then with the gym too comes anxiety sometimes, because like you're not sure what you're capable of.
Or what you're gonna expect that day, or if
Yeah,
you're gonna be
I
able to
never
do
know.
the exercise this time like you were
Yeah.
last week.
And depending on where you are, like with your, I don't know, like your lady business, like your menstrual and all that, like different weeks, there are weeks where I feel so weak and I
Yeah,
feel
like
so
weak and
defeated.
tired.
Yeah.
You're like, I could do this exercise last week. How come I can't do
Exactly.
this?
I'm like, why
Mhm.
could I lift
So
more?
frustrating.
Yeah.
It is frustrating.
And that's
Yeah.
kind of a sensitive topic too, just because like obviously with like menstrual cycles and things like that, like it's obviously guys don't have to deal with it, but for a woman to kind of like talk to their coach about something like that, that's a more sensitive topic. It is beneficial for us to know, because let's put it this like
Yeah.
when blood is lost, like the blood carries oxygen through your body, it also carries iron. Like you're going to become more fatigued.
Yeah.
So as opposed to kind of thinking like, oh, like
It's my
you
fault.
got a bet. Well, not even so much your fault, but like maybe like as opposed to thinking like, oh, like you got
I'm
damn,
really-
no, like as opposed to kind
Sometimes
of
I wish I was a guy.
yeah, like as opposed to thinking like, oh, like you got like a bad night of sleep, or oh, like you worked a long day. It's nice to know that it's something that's out of your control that could be possibly perfecting your performance. And part of what
Yeah.
me and Connor do is to make sure that during those times you're able to, you did the hardest part, you showed up. So now it's a matter of working with what we're dealt with that day. So if you don't come in feeling 100% and you're like, I can only give you 75, then you know what, I'll take what I can get out of you.
Right.
So
But it's
you just gotta
important to, like,
accommodate.
it's important to like communicate that with you guys too.
Absolutely.
Feeling
Mhm.
comfortable enough
Absolutely.
with you both
Mhm.
to be able to be like, hey, this is how I'm feeling today. Don't know if I'm gonna be able to lift as heavy
Right.
or
Oh yeah.
go this hard during cardio sessions and things like that.
Right.
So,
Yeah, no, like it's
and you
just
guys make it pretty easy to
Yeah.
become comfortable and trustworthy. So
yeah, no, it's like honestly, it's just kind of like even like I have people that talk to me about like bowel movements and like gastric stuff and things like that. It's just like you kind of, from a professional standpoint, it's just all a part of your body. It's just all natural. Like
Your mental.
everyone goes to the bathroom. Everyone like has things that they go through. So it's just kind of like you just have to deal with what you're dealt with and just kind of work your way through it.
Exactly. It's a facet of the medical field. And so you become like fascinated by a lot of it, and it's just like really pertinent information to use in order to help the person that you're with.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and it might even be helpful for that person you're with, but then your next client might be helpful for that too.
Exactly.
Right.
Oh, I had someone early in the week that was struggling with this. Maybe I can program
Yeah.
similar.
So like even
Right.
I think Deanna was gonna say
I'm
something.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, I think part of like, so yes, the fitness. Don't get me wrong, it's gonna come out like, oh, the training's like whatever. But no, like, but no, honestly,
Tell us
like,
how you really
I mean, the biggest thing I think I've taken away from like personal training with Connor, especially, is the change in how I view it and how I think about things. And I used to be that person, the typical female, I would say, that like would beat myself up of like, oh, I ate cheesecake last night, or oh, I didn't get to the gym because I worked late, and so like I gotta punish myself. And like
Yeah.
Connor as my trainer to like reprogram that way of thinking, that like it's okay to take 4 days off from the gym. Day 5 you went, like that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And like that for me has been the biggest probably part of the training part, was that like I had to unlearn those bad ways of viewing it.
Yeah.
it's tough too, because someone watching this might hear that and be like, oh my god, like he's okay that you missed like 4 days with going to the gym. But at the same time too, I think where it really kind of boils down to is that with me and Connor specifically, like yes, we're strength coaches and we love what we do, but we're also real people outside of this. So like realistically, we totally understand that like we have other priorities that we have to dedicate ourselves
Right.
to, like whether it be work, whether it be school. I coach outside of here as well. So like we all have other priorities that are going to take time away from certain things that you may want to do.
Right.
Trainers are people too, and
Right.
a lot of what you see online is like that, like heavy-handed, like go every day, wake up out of bed, get your shit done, and it's just one of those things where it's like, man, chill. Like it's not how people are programmed, and if it is, you have other things you need to be working on. Trust me.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Like-
unless you're a professional bodybuilder or a professional athlete that like needs their body for
Like
their
their
living
livelihood.
and to make an income. Exactly. You don't need to train like one. We're not here to be professional athletes, and we're not here to be bodybuilders. We're here to just be healthy, which all 5 of us sitting here are all very healthy individuals because we all work towards it in some regard, whether it's through yoga, strength training, running, Spartan races, showing up. Like you just literally put in your hour session right before this
Yeah.
podcast. So it's it just goes to show that like healthiness shouldn't be this fortified image of like you have to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger, you need to look like
Right, like each
Like-
one of
like
us sitting
Kim
here is
Kardashian.
completely different.
yeah,
right,
no,
like-
but we're all healthy people.
Right. Just because you're X amount on a scale doesn't necessarily mean you're unhealthy.
Everybody's so different too.
Yeah.
Body types, heights, all that.
Yeah, absolutely. And back to what you were saying about being committed and everything like that, and actually booking your sessions.
Yeah.
What I tend to do is every Sunday or Monday, I sit down and write my goals down for the week and how I'm going to plan them out. And then I'll plan them on my calendar. So I also go to yoga on top of strength training.
Nice.
So I'll plan out my classes and book my sessions through that.
Yeah.
And then plan out my sessions with Dom. So that way I know, hey, guess what? It's 5 p.m. I gotta leave to make sure that I'm at my workout for 5:30.
Which is smart.
That's how you can stay accountable for sure.
Yeah, and it's nice too because even again on the days that I know that she may not be able to come down for her session, I'm just like, okay, like you have a copy of your program, like you have your home gym, just go and do it. And if you need anything, like I have my phone on me. Like it's tough sometimes when you're training clients to obviously get back to you as quickly as you can, but like
Yeah.
as long as you're efficient with it. And the thing that's awesome with the people that come here is that they know that there's a lot of you guys and they know there's only 2 of us. So like in terms of like having to be on our phone sometimes to answer other clients or address other things, maybe if it's like a quick second, I think it's awesome to how understanding everyone is that like we're trying to help as many people as we can. And like let's face it, there's about like probably close to 40 to 50 something continuous people that come through these doors every single week. So the fact that there's only 2 of us taking on that many people, it's kind of nice to have a little bit of understanding that like we're trying to keep up with everyone to the best of our abilities, just to make sure that everyone's kind of staying up to speed. So
Keeps us busy.
it does. But
We covered a lot so far, and one of the last things we want to talk about is, so what advice would each one of you present to a woman of any age who's just looking to start their fitness journey and check out gyms and get into things at this day and age? What would you have to say for them?
For me, I like with my friends and things like that, I'm like, come work out with me. Come try this. This is what I do. It works for me. It may not necessarily work for you, but come down here, take a workout with me and with Dom, and then see, okay, did you like the style of training that we're doing? Guess what? Now we can make a program specifically for you. But I would also say if you're looking to start your fitness journey, like 100% make sure you're reaching out to someone that is qualified to help you. Don't just look at the influencer online that may wear no clothes to the gym and like thinks that he or she knows how to lift. Like that doesn't necessarily mean, like the likes that they get and things like that doesn't necessarily mean that they have the knowledge to be telling you how to work out.
Sounds like the equivalent of going on WebMD.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. For me personally, I feel like maybe getting excited or like just knowing you have a goal or something to do.
I like that one. Get
yeah.
excited.
It's just like something that you're comfortable with or you've been wanting to try. I feel like that's the best step. I don't know, because for a while I wanted to do yoga, but I was kind of uncomfortable. But I was like, what's the point? I would start at home and then I would just go and actually do classes to get more comfortable.
Yeah. Well, and you're also getting that community.
Yes.
You're getting that community though too when you're going to take yoga class and there's like 20 to 30, sometimes 40 people in there. So that support system is huge.
I give you the funny
What?
look, no, more her than anything else, because knowing her for as long as who she is, like as long as I have, you, no offense, you do not seem like the type of that like can take it easy and go through a peaceful
so
yoga
chill.
class.
You've been so chill this whole
I mean, no,
time.
like during the podcast is
Oh
one
my
thing, but like
God.
when we're lifting, like
That's different.
when we're lifting, she's like,
I gotta be
she's
angry.
like, yeah, she's like, oh, and, so
I
like to
get it.
kind of, I don't know, I think just like knowing you for as long as I have, to hear that you used to do yoga, I'm like, this is what are you peaceful.
Well, guess what? Now you're gonna come and take class with me.
I will take class with you. Thank you. Because I am peaceful.
Namaste.
Yeah, no kidding.
We're all gonna do yoga after this.
There we go. That was funny.
I think my advice would be to figure out why you're doing it. Really set your expectations of why you're going. If you are going in there because you want to look like Kim Kardashian in a bikini, like
It's
that's a
not
great
gonna
goal.
happen.
But like,
Yeah.
assess your expectations. Figure out why you're doing it. Definitely, reach out to the people who know what they're talking about. And then again, just evaluate how you look at things and like change your perspective. I think that was the biggest thing for me is changing my perspective on it. Excuse me. And that I don't, again, you have to use it as what it's intended for. It's to make things better, and it should never be like a punishment or living up to society standards. It's really for you. So
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
And I think it's awesome too that like, honestly, when Connor and I decided to do this episode, like we're going through like the list of our clients in terms of like women that we thought would be really good representations as to just kind of breaking down the stigma that comes with fitness culture. And I really the only reason I'm saying it is because like, first of all, you guys, like all 3 of you are extremely unique in all of your own ways. You all have your strengths, you all have your weaknesses, like just like Connor and ourselves do. But I think it's awesome that coming from the 3 of you that you guys have very specific common goals, but at the same time, they're also very different. So like your common goals are that the reasons that you all come to the gym, why you all want to get stronger, you all want to do something to kind of help benefit yourself in some capacity, whether it's like lose weight, gain weight, get stronger, whatever the case may be. So I think the fact that all of your common goals are the same is fantastic. And then in terms of like specific goals, like maybe like you want to lose 10 pounds, maybe you want to gain 10 pounds, and maybe you just want to stay however you are. So we all may have like specific goals, but the common goal is that you're all here to benefit each other. So one thing that we've always tried since the day that we opened is just trying to get people to cheer each other on. Like there's no reason that like the three of you now, like if you ever see each other in the gym, it's gonna be cool because you guys all know who you guys are now after this. So it's cool to see other people that, again, specific goals may be different, but the fact that you have those common goals in common. I'm not saying we all have to like be friends and hold hands and kumbaya, but it's nice to know that there are also people there rooting for you on your side, working towards that same
It's part
thing.
of our community now.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
like not even just the community here. I think that women need to do that in general.
Yeah.
We're our own worst
Absolutely.
critics, and we're the first person to like tear each other down. When we come together and build each other up, it's just an unstoppable force.
Yeah,
No,
we're
it
so
is.
understanding of one another too because we know where we're at as women.
Yeah.
So I feel like with that, like it could be a couple of reasons why women destroy women and men destroy men. I think it could be like an insecurity thing. It could be like they feel accomplished by at the expense of others. I feel like it could be a lot of different things, but I think like you said, I think that's awesome that like it's not done enough, that like when women empower women, it really is an unstoppable force. Like women have this motivation and drive behind them that like when they're headstrong, they want to stick to something, they do. And
Get out of our way.
yeah, no, exactly, which is awesome. So
Yeah.
it's awesome to see that mentality and to surround yourself with people like that, regardless
Yeah.
male or female. It's awesome because it rubs off on yourself and you start to do things and push beyond your limits that maybe you weren't able to do before because you may not have witnessed it before. So it's really cool to like be a part of that and watch that for
And
sure.
I think a big part of that is relationships too, because like even, you know, I've had people who have approached me being like, because they know I go to training and they're like, well, what about this and that? They're like, well, you know, like they'll say something to like, oh, well, like, what does he understand? Because he's a guy. He's a guy. And I'm like, he does because we've worked together long enough. He does because we communicate. He knows how I act. I am all open with him. I'm vulnerable. I'm honest. You know, and that's part of building that relationship so that yes, he does understand me. He might not understand how to be a woman, but he understands me, and that's how our personal training works.
That's
So
awesome. No, and it's true.
it's all about the relationships. It's not just about
Yeah.
like the women joining women in the fitness journey stuff, but it's also being comfortable to come to a male run gym and with two males and tell you guys about my period. Like
Yeah, no, absolutely. And again, it's just all part of the nature of the game. Like they're like even with obviously like I know like when we first opened, like I know like the name like sheer dominance, like it has like a very
Masculine energy.
so it does have
I mean, we
like,
could
right.
put some curtains up.
So
Us three
So-
girls can make this
Yeah.
look a lot prettier.
so Connor's been trying to get me to paint the gym, so I totally get it. So the place
On your
So-
side, guys.
So it's gonna be blush pink.
there's a reason that the colors are black, white, and gray because I'm very boring. But if we need some,
No,
a
you're
little bit of-
very black and white.
that too,
Yeah.
and gray.
Balance. That's
And
what it
so,
is.
but if we need a little bit of flair, we can definitely talk about that in future podcasts. But yeah, no, I think it's been awesome having the three of you on here. So thank you guys all for your time and just for sharing your stories. And thank you guys for honestly all three of you for making time to just even come out of your way to not only support me and Connor, but like just the community in the sense that we're trying to build, in the sense of like we're trying to build a community while reshaping the fitness culture as to how
Trying to make a
people-
change.
and that's kind of the biggest
And
reason.
that's what you guys. This is why you guys do what you do because
It's-
you want to make a
Exactly.
change in your community.
And that's not even just with training. It's even like that's kind of the reason as to even why we started this podcast because
Right.
like again like with me and Connor, the biggest comment that people always tell us is that like it's wholesome content, which I think is awesome. Because
which is lacking
yeah, no, which-
these days.
so it's wholesome content in the sense that we're genuine guys that we can tell you to eat chicken, rice, and broccoli every single day, but like in terms of being realistic, like no, like that's just like I had cake like 3 or 4 days ago. Like it's not realistic. So
It was
But-
good though.
yeah.
Was it vegan cake?
It was not. So
I didn't have it, no.
I did I will say
They told
though,
me about it.
I
was
did.
like,
I
oh.
will
that
say
sounds
though,
good.
I did try a vegan donut. Not bad. it still tasted like a donut. So, thank you, all three of you again, for tuning in or for joining us. And thank you, viewers. If you guys, again, ever have things you want us to talk about or would like to be a host to talk about something specifically on the show, please feel free to either DM us on Instagram, Facebook, or our personal pages. Again, we got Kat, Santina, and Deanna, and signing out from Sheer Dominance, you got Connor and Dom talking about stuff yet again.
Thank you.